And hello everyone, welcome to the Refresh Point. My name is Ben, and as always I'm joined by my constant co-host Steve. Steve, how's it going?
It's all right. The singles competitive season is well and truly over for a little while, and the vacation time is over, and so we're back, and reality is hitting us once again. But we have a little bit of off time, so we can do some experimenting and play some more casual Weiss Schwarz.
I mean, a little bit of off time.
The
guys at Long Beach didn't even have like any long time. I think they've got a trios like in 3 days. Like they're going. But today we're gonna be incredibly late reacting to the restriction list update, which, to be fair, was incredibly soon after Worlds. And Steve will talk about his deck for Worlds. Well, again, actually, that episode did go up, just, on the day of Worlds, if you'll recall.
I had several people come up to me and mention that to me.
After you shuffle your deck topper cut, we'll get right into the refresh point with some breaking news and the music. As other people, also many people came up to me and said, they were like, we kind of missed the music. It was like the da-da-da.
Yeah.
It wasn't there because I realized after landing in Japan and the morning of Worlds that we definitely did not upload the previous episode. So I put the standalone Caden Live video editor on this recording laptop, which may itself be a cause of some of our kind of staticky sound woes. Exported a video, and the audio just pretty much raw. And so yeah, that's where the last episode was. That's why there was no bouncing logo, for clear reasons. Yeah, that's what led to that. So you tough, but you know what? It did technically come out before Worlds started, and there were people at Worlds that did listen to it before Worlds started. So it was consumable before the beginning of the tournament. Now then, did you have to be awake for that? Yes. It wasn't that hard. It was uploaded at like, I don't know. It was uploaded at like 9:30 Japan time, so that's what, like 7:30 p.m. Central? Or is it 2 hours the other way?
It's the other way.
Okay, so 11. All of our fans are degenerates enough. You could have gone to bed to that.
Oh no, it's -2, right? Yeah.
If it's -2, even better.
Yeah.
7:30, right after dinner, 7:30 p.m. You got a little refresh point drop.
It was unexpected, to say the least, when Shaded False came up and talked to me about it. He's like, "Did you guys just put out an episode?" I was like, "Did we?"
Did we? Okay, obviously
Ben got ambitious the day of Worlds, and that's great.
Yeah. Obviously you didn't win, unlucky.
Yeah.
But longtime player Yarbacher won. Saled NB.
Yeah. Christian Yarbacher, one of the longtime goats of the game, one of Europe's most consistent and powerful players, finally managed to lock it down, get his very first win despite qualifying for Worlds, I think 9 times in a row. So that was good to see.
And getting second twice.
Second at least once.
Once.
I don't remember if it was twice, but
all right, fair enough.
A great example of perseverance in the face of incredible adversity and disappointment. I know that can be extremely painful to get close and fail to get there. So congrats to him. Obviously, nothing but nice things to say. NA is completely washed, it seems.
Yeah, land of the free in the wrong way.
Yeah, we got dunked. Top 4 was all Europe, and I think almost all the top 8 was Europe. So,
I mean, we got wiped by a full undefeated Ruby 8 standby in Swiss, right? That was her record. Congratulations! Shout out to Gem.
Yeah, Gem just stomped everybody.
I mean, we like to joke that we claim Steve Long, but I mean,
no, that's American. No, we
get
that one. No, we get that. That counts as NA.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
No, they can't. No, you can't.
No, but then he got wiped by the Psychoto player that also wiped Carmen and Swiss.
That guy was literally him right up until he triggered 3 climaxes in top 4 and died instantly.
You know,
I was watching that game.
We always joke about double trigger to death is the truest combo there is, but there's something to be said for triple trigger to death, which is not said that often for how rare it is. But that is really the truest combo there is.
It was funny because I was watching the stream with some other players and I was like, this guy's run is going to end the second his deck gets unlucky in climax triggers. And that's exactly what happened. He's level 1. He triggers a few times. He takes an entire level. He triggers some more. And I was like, yeah, this game it's cooked. But kind of had the run of his life to that point. So
yeah, for sure. Psychono.
Yeah.
In the top 4.
Yeah, that was crazy work.
Also, Bang Dream, not for nothing, Dario, right?
Yeah.
Medallia.
Yep.
Getting second.
Yep.
Yeah, that restriction was real potent.
It speaks to the nature of how the meta is right now. I think, and we're going to be entering into another, like, not so good meta coming up, where we're going to have 3 decks in tier 1.
It's kind of weird meta, man.
Yeah, it's 3 decks tier 1, head and shoulders above every other deck. And then tier 2, or like the next tier down from the top tier, however you rank your tiers.
That's just the sea.
It's
the ocean of decks.
Yeah. There's gonna be a million decks that could work, and I think we'll see it during the teams events, where the teams that place the most consistently will just be the 3 top decks. They'll just be like Oshi, Bang Dream, Horse Slop, and then they'll send it. Yeah. And that will be it. Those teams will do consistently better than every other team. Now, can other teams win? Of course. But those 3, that's going to be the team. And it's just going to be so sad. Because
we'll see how that bears out. It is teams.
Yeah, and teams is always a little bit of a mixed bag. But
for sure.
Luckily, this meta won't last. And by the time we hit single season again, we will have a bit more excitement, though I don't know if it's good.
You know, there's a lot to be said about the current state of the game's balance, which we're going to get into in the Spy Corner. And right after Worlds, we had a restriction list update, which we will discuss kind of going into the Spy Corner. But for the rest of our breaking news, we do, in fact, have Horse Slop. Something Bakyun. It's incoming. We know what it does. What it does in the context of this meta is kind of like, I don't know. It'll be what it is. It is another 1k 1 soul slop deck. It has a tricky amount of reach because obviously we will get it unrestricted in the sense of it wasn't restricted until set 2 came out.
Right.
But even the set 1 form was like reasonably good and obviously got restricted in set 2 for a reason. That reason probably being all of the good stuff in set 1 plus Danzu Flame. They decided to keep the Danzu Flame, get rid of the set 1 good stuff. Now we have the set 1 good stuff, which includes a helmet package that says thoughts on helmet, clock bond to a 1-0, discard and sacrifice the helmet, clock bind to the 1-0, and then never be level locked. Thoughts?
Yeah, there's some nice pieces there. There's that package, obviously, but then of course the even more important.
There's Curren,
the 1-0 that lets you draw two and ditch two with inheritance.
And inherit. Yeah.
Yes, that card is very critical.
Yeah.
What we're gonna get out of this, we're talking about Umamusume. I'm sorry, I'm gonna call it horse slop a lot, but you're just gonna have to endure that.
So what we're gonna get out of Umamusume, pretty derby.
Yeah. So what we're gonna get is a good old fashioned hyper compression deck. So
is it hyper compression?
Absolutely. So
it is.
It's a stock soul level 1 combo that you spam over and over and over again. You have no useful ways to use your stock in the mid game. 0 until set 2. So what are you gonna do? Nothing. You're gonna just you're just gonna slam this climax. That's right. You're gonna slam this climax as often as you draw it, and you're going to hope that having 15 stock is enough to keep the demons away because you can't heal. So,
well, not just that. Also, call it 3 or 4 or 5 extra cards on the board. Yeah. Inheritance.
Yeah.
As it turns out, that one combo that is slam and stock soul on attack, check 5. If you have a marker, add 2.
Yeah.
If you don't, add 1. Now then, how do you get the marker? Well, it's the inheritance mechanic. Because in Umamusume, it's like a roguelike where you get to take 2 parents and then inherit their stats into the next run. How does that manifest in Weiss? Well, it manifests in a bunch of fucking cards saying inheritance. When you play another card, put this card underneath that card. You can get up to 2 markers in this way, but it's often not profitable to do that. Thus, you will end up with 1 marker from a guy going underneath one of your cards. That'll be your life. Now then, this transforms into a mechanic that we like to call marker compression. And the way that it works is that when you have a combo that mills 5 and you have a hexproof brainstormer that also has inheritance, so it doubles as a hexproof thing that you can store inheritance targets under before itself being used for inheritance in an emergency.
Yeah.
And you have a 1 combo that can check 5 twice. What happens is, if you're at 1-4, we'll say, or if you're good, we'll call it, and you're at 1-6, and you get to resolve your triple 1 combo with full markers on the board, you now had 6 clock compression, I don't know, call it 10 cards on the board, 4 or 5 stock, a full hand before you refresh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the hyper compression deck. This deck will be the deck that will make Bang Dream players look at Months for Luck and be like, hard maybe on whether this needs to be in my deck.
Hard maybe.
Because right now they don't have any choices to make. They just slam the other one because there are no compression decks other than themselves, and they have lots of ways to mitigate. Right? In the mid game, they'll just cast that 3-2 a bunch of times and they'll pay down into a reasonable level. So there's no way to like get the Giga Punish. But there also is nothing else in the space that would compel them to play Months for Luck. Because the only other decks in the space that are around them don't compress that much. Oshinoko does not compress that much. It compresses in their hand where they have a 12-card hand. There's no way to stock swap that. So, but we're about to add one. We're about to add the other leg of the triangle.
Okay, but arguably, you could also
with hyper compression.
Okay, but you could arguably also not punish Uma as because what ends up happening with Uma is that you don't heal, but what you do is just brainstorm twice every turn. Sometimes you'll just pay 3 for your fucking 1 combo, whatever, man.
Yeah. It'll be important for Umamusume players to acknowledge and be advised of their opponent's deck and strategy and the nature of the game, because getting stock swap for 12 will kill you. But getting essentially a free brainstorm
the level 0 Fujimi stock swap.
Yeah.
There you go. That'll punish you.
Getting essentially a free brainstorm every single turn means it is kind of hard to pay down with pay once. Yeah, a very interesting deck. A deck that can really dunk some decks. Like, if you can't punish their compression and you can't land damage in the mid game, or if your finisher is desperately reliant on vanillas, I have bad news. That shit's not gonna happen. So, how this deck loses is the exact opposite of what we just discussed, where either the one combo doesn't go off right, you don't get enough inheritance targets, or in the hell scenario, you start triggering a bunch and then you take a bunch of damage, and then like your compression goes completely to shit and you can't slow the game down. That's how they lose, because their finisher is kind of not very explosive, does not have good reach.
That's a real questionable remark.
Does not have good reach.
You have you have probably burn 2 to start, and then you have burn 1 Mocha, which is like,
if you block all the vanillas from Curren Chan, you will live. It is just Marine. Like, it's all it is. If you were not impressed...
just block the vanillas.
If you were impressed by Marine, then you'll be impressed by Curren Chan. But if you weren't impressed by Marine, then I can't see how you would be impressed by Curren Chan.
Mocha is one of those mechanics, man.
I know, but please explain to me the difference between burn 1, Mocha 2, and burn 3. If you had a finisher that just said pay 1, ditch 1, burn 3...
Okay.
Like, how is that different?
I mean... Okay, hold on. So, burn 1, Mocha 2...
Except in the God scenario where you reveal 2 climaxes, that's the only way it's better.
So if you reveal 1 climax, you still get the 1.
Like, if I peek 2 climaxes with the Mocha.
Yeah, and the burn 1 is like, it hits or it doesn't.
Right.
And then you.
But the burn 1 and the burn 3 is gonna be blocked. The burn 3 is either gonna land the 1 or not land the 1, and the only way it doesn't land the 3 is if one of the other 2 cards are climaxes, right?
Sure.
So, the difference between burn 1 or between Mocha 2 and burn 3 is that there's the possibility that you can get more than 1 climax.
True.
That's the best case scenario for the finisher. But the problem is that overall, it doesn't have that many packets.
I feel like 2 burn 2s is pretty slick.
If you can get the events.
I feel like because we are running set 1 pure, and you have ditch 2, draw 2, like almost on tap. Like, does that not, like it feels like the way that you cap out on the deck, and like if you're like legitimately also piloting it well and capping out your hand, is that your overhand should be tossing those fucking events directly into memory.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that
and Curren Chan
you don't have the
checks 3 on play.
Yeah, you don't, but you don't have access to the check 3 brainstorm that also.
But you don't need it until the end.
Right.
So it's like all you really need is to, maybe you hold 1 going into level 2, you get a second 1 through there, and then on the current turn, you're drawing presumably like 11 cards. Could be more because again the ditch 2 draw 2 is an inheritance target. So if that's one of your inheritance targets for Curren Chan.
Yeah.
And you should be.
I think 2 events is very reasonable
every turn. I don't know. I feel like proccing 2 burn 2 is not unrealistic.
Is that all 4 events?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe 30% of the time.
Okay, that's still pretty good.
Cards go everywhere. I think 2 events.
Cards go everywhere. Yeah, I'm sure I can agree that cards go everywhere. But like
two
you can
2 events is what you should expect.
You have a lot of draw power.
Yeah, 2 events you should expect every game.
Yeah, and
three
it's burnt. So it's Marine plus another burn 2 then, or it's Rio plus another burn 2 then.
Yeah,
that's like a fine amount.
It's
of reach.
fine. It's fine. It's just not crazy.
And then once you trigger Stock Soul and you land a 5, your opponent just like jumps off a bridge.
Yeah, or more importantly, you reveal 2 clean and then try to trigger and then get blocked in classic Mocha fashion.
Right.
Yeah.
Always the ups and downs.
Yeah. But their other profound kind of game weakness is power. Not super strong on the board.
Yeah, you get like 8Ks and you get Cart Titan. And you get like you're playing green, you can opt into that bodyguard thing.
Yeah, we'll see how players adapt to like the way the meta is with the cards that they have available. But
Like you have like I think it's like a 12k bodyguard at 2/1.
yeah, I don't know what you do with that. Like
Clear the board,
except like lose it to Oshi. But
oh sure, yeah.
like where they put down their 15k and it was just like,
I guess you get to memory counter that to like 15.5. I don't know, something. Yeah, probably not. But
so they may struggle on the board against some decks. Particularly, there's probably several standby piles that would be salivating at facing what is essentially like a 8k power cap out.
Yeah.
For a lot of the game.
Yeah,
in
for sure.
In most lanes.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see what effect that has. But it definitely will be an important part of the meta. And we do know that set 2 is imminent, and
that's coming in November.
That will be available during the single season. So once the second
that's gonna be sick.
Yeah, once the second set hits, we will be off to the races in the English meta, because we will have some. We will have not only that, but we'll also have some other really high power things entering the meta.
Yeah.
For the single season. So this,
perhaps re-entering the meta.
Yeah, this.
Okay.
This upcoming single season looks to be a lot better than this current team season.
That was a re-zero joke for people that were
If you explain the joke, it isn't funny.
It was funny enough to everybody who got it for that 130 seconds, and then there's enough Weiss Zoomers that I know that listen to this podcast that would not have gotten it at all whatsoever.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Because the other thing, and we're kind of getting way ahead of ourselves here, but Nikkei 2.
Yeah, we don't know about that.
No, it's
Nothing.
Coming in September. Yeah, gonna matter.
Maybe.
Yes, simul releases only happen 2 ways, and if we're
and
if we're triple releasing to Korea and Japan
and China,
brother, we are gonna get
quad release.
Yeah, brother, we are getting all the cards. Yeah.
Oh yeah, is it okay? What does Korea have? Question marks. Do they have Nikkei 1?
I have no clue.
Because here's the thing, like that also determines the way that this set is tuned. Hints towards our future Spy Corner topic. But like, you know, they if they don't have Nikkei 1,
if we're releasing,
then Nikkei 2 will be kind of weird, because they've leaned towards making some interaction with set 1, but also some of these kinds of sequel sets tend to just like completely discard for the most part.
Well, there'll be some parts, right? There'll be some parts.
Yeah. But then there'll be some parts that are not. Like, what do they like? There's so many angles here. Like, do they just turbocharge the bar thing and just make us play it?
I think ultimately,
do they change the way that standby pile plays? Do they change the way that, like, is Alice still the healer to be playing? Like, probably, but like, how much better of a healer can you make, right?
What I'll say is that if we're simul releasing for the Japanese meta and for other metas, it probably should be expected that this set will be strong in English and probably mid-high tier in Japanese, I would guess. Just because of the nature of like how you have to angle the set in order to make it competitive, useful.
I mean, it is gacha and it is Nikkei.
The first set was competitive, useful in both metas for a period of time. I'm certain the second set will be as well. It doesn't need that much more to be useful. Arguably, if Oshinoko wasn't so prevalent in the meta, then it would still be probably tier 1 now. But we will see. I am optimistic. So the singles meta is shaping up to be pretty nasty. But exciting in a bad way, we'll call it.
Exactly. One more thing before we transition to the Spy Corner. I do need to pay off something from the last episode. I did get the pillow from Nagoya. It is pretty cool. It's aligned on the sides with like my shoulder height, on like lying sideways. and then lying back in the middle of the pillow, it's like aligned with my neck. Yeah, and really what it showed me is that my mattress really, really has sucked for a long time. or at least for long enough. So it's one of those things where you try to upgrade one part of your sleep and then you examine all other parts of it and you're like, well, maybe. But
yeah, I mean, it's 25% of your life. Spend the money.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it was a cool pillow. It was a cool trip. It was great to see everybody that we got to see. It was great to eat so good and so cheaply.
I was really every time I go to Worlds, I remember that there's just like a huge community of people out there, like very, very good players that I have just never once faced. And the 2024 Worlds was such a crystallization point that can never be experienced again because of the way they've changed up the schedule. But maybe my biggest regret in my Weiss career is missing Weiss Ice that year, because that can never happen again. And
it's very difficult.
Well, now that the worlds are desynced from each other, it's
true.
Literally not possible. And so
Probably
it's like,
not.
that makes me sad to think about, because like there's so many good players, and I was very happy that I got to play quite a bit of like casual Weiss with some people I've never really get to play against, and so that's always kind of nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that kind of, and even the year after, there was like a tournament where like English players could go, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Like that was a tournament.
Yeah.
But Weiss Ice really was kind of like that. It was kind of that event.
Yeah.
Where like Zabuton and God bless everybody else that was there like organizing, that slips my mind at this exact moment, which sorry. But there were a lot of people, a lot of good people that put that event together and kind of got the right power level of players from both sides all together. Like it was just cool stuff. There was like, hey, you know, like fight SDS, you know, like if you don't see SDS, like you can now fight SDS here. Or like, you know, because Rintaro was there, is like, hey, like, you know, fight Rintaro playing Overlord, like see what the Overlord thing that you're, because like it was about to come out, I think, in English, so like it wasn't out yet, or it was like very recent, and so it was like, hey, like come check out like incoming Overlord, right? And that sort of thing. And just man, I kind of take that a little bit for granted that I was able to go to that.
It was like I was kind of like following some of the people that had attended the event, and it was funny because Jem was finishing her game, and she's like, I was wearing that Gojo hoodie, and she was nice. She's like, I really like that. I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh my god, you're Ryoshin. I was like, just like deer in the headlights. I'm like, yep, that's me.
That's kind of, you know what's actually kind of funny, because I think I did meet Jem at the Weiss Ice, and now you've met Jem just like 2 years later.
I could never attend an event in the UK, so that's like the only way we're ever gonna interface, but like, or I guess on Discord or whatever, or for Trigger League, but
for sure.
But yeah, it's cool because I don't know, I dropped out of the event after going 2-2, and I like fringe regret that. Maybe I should have stayed in and played a few more rounds, like, but I don't know. I was kind of annoyed with the way that the game, the losses went, but
for sure, yeah. Let's enter the Spike Corner. You went 2-2. Unlucky. You played Overlord.
Yep.
And you had some ups, you had some downs.
Yeah,
and like many other players of Overlord, you didn't make it, and nobody from Overlord made it.
No. And My two losses, but my first loss was round 1 to Chainsaw Man, and it wasn't so much the deck as just like having a hand with 4 climaxes going into your level 1 turn after canceling twice at 0 and realizing that like you have no attackers to attack with, and you're gonna take a full level for 2 straight turns probably. Is just like peak misery when piloting that sort of deck. So I think I was at like 3-1 while my opponent was at 1-4, and so the game kind of got dragged back into like a possible like I thought there might be a way to scam it like in the mid game, because he triggered a couple times and he was at like 2-5, and it became like possible if I landed like some vanillas I might be able to kill him, but then he just triple canceled the 3 vanillas and made the game impossible. So that sucked, and then a couple of wins, and then lost to Oshinoko, kind of like how you lose to Oshinoko, where all your climaxes, or a bunch of your climaxes are on the bottom, you reveal them, and the burns reveal other climaxes from the top, and then you take this huge vanilla and then you just dive. So I will say there were a lot more off-meta decks than I thought there would be. Now,
it's Worlds, man.
If you look at the Worlds composition, it's exactly what we thought it would be. It's like Oshinoko, most popular deck in the room, and then the Oshinoko, Overlord, Bang Dream occupied 60% of the players. So that's not very surprising. That's pretty much what we thought would happen. So in that sense, it wasn't very surprising that that's what was in the room. It was kind of surprising to see myself surrounded by Overlord players all not doing very well.
Yeah.
So Beanwolf, I think, did the best out of all of us, and he got 12th. Kind of lost the winning in a against the Psychono deck. But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of like very good Overlord pilots in the room. It just wasn't meant to be for any of us. So I know I saw Enemy, which is Roy, and Mark from Australia was there, and there were quite a few good Overlord players. It just didn't come together. But yeah, I saw a lot of decks. Spy, like a couple Spy decks. I saw Dandadan 8-bar. I saw
that made it 2 wins. There's a Girl's Bad Cry that also made it 2 wins.
Yeah.
Also a Fairy Tale that also made it 2 wins.
Yeah.
I will say, kind of filtering up, like as you go up the list, like
it tightens.
It tightens.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the Psychono player was kind of having the day of his life. Steve L, say a friend of the podcast, was playing an 8 standby Fujimi deck that was kind of like hit kind of the right power lines. Had the anti-trade event, or no. I think the healer like gains power on opponent act. I'm pretty sure here. Let me just pull up the list. What was the mechanic of the healer? Oh yeah, when your opponent uses an act, this character gains power on the board. Turns out your opponents use axe relatively often.
Sure, and he's got the
he's got his
the Asia from set 1's like power to all.
Yeah, and
it's a standard standby slop deck.
You get a lot of top checking because you have a 2/2 that gives everybody on the board top check rearrange, and there's like I think there was another effect that like gives top check rearrange. And then you kind of get the counter that's like dump out your stock, and then neg 1 soul for all the stock you paid out.
Yeah.
And so between being able to attack check multiple times a turn, then you're probably going to be able to stand by the 3-2. It's like stand itself on standby.
Yep.
And then keep attacking.
Yep.
Through the mid game, and good old standby. Nothing beats that.
Yep. This is definitely a standby deck of all time. Yeah,
there's a bounce back card that gives 2 characters trigger check.
Yeah.
So you get that, and you get a 2/2 that gives your whole board trigger check, and you have an active standby combo 2/2. So like,
yeah,
you're trigger checking all the time, and you're keeping it clean or not. Depends on what you want in life.
Yeah.
So decent board state,
yeah,
pretty good trigger checking, and by extension, like a decent, a decent deck state on the average. And also, I think the key piece, there's a Clockamagi. So we'll have an interview with him, but a lot of the time, if he went second, if he went first rather, he would pass, be hit by the opponent player going second, and like there were a not insignificant amount of like people that might be playing clean cut in the tournament, and they'd kind of look and be like, well, okay. And then you, from like 0-3 or 0-4, as long as you have enough copies of this card, you're like, okay, I am now playing the standby. I am clocking myself, including a clock at the beginning of the turn, to level 1. And then I'm going to hit you with a 2/2 with trigger checking. Thoughts. And now I'm going to do this forever. And I'm actually just going to keep hitting you, ideally for 3s. And hopefully you just hold that L.
It's a purely psychotic way to play Weiss Schwarz. To give your opponent an entire level advantage in a deck where you hit for 1.
Well, that's you don't hit for 1. You should be clearing their board and then hitting for 3.
Yeah. With thoughts and prayers, obviously.
You stand by a 2/2.
Yeah.
It has 2 soul. You keep their lanes clear.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that, like, just because you have a lot of triggers doesn't mean you're always going to hit them, and
I'm not saying, like, if you should have the board advantage and have clear lanes, right?
You're gonna have at least one. The other two lanes will be occupied by 2 zeros
for like exactly 1 turn, and then you should be getting. It's an 8 standby deck. Like, how many with trigger checking? Like, how many misses you're gonna have?
You have literally like 1 level 2 card that you can put on the board in the front row.
Okay.
And you have 1 level 1 card that you're running 2 of.
Right.
So we're just gonna, with no deck speed outside of this 1 card that mills 4, we're gonna
there were other cards in this list that we didn't look at.
We're gonna reveal 3 of this 2/2. That's what we're gonna do.
To check 3 Brainstorm.
Sure.
That's also the Muna has like the discard salvage effect.
Yes.
So we can discard the 2/2.
I think eventually by the time you have like reached a certain
Fuka?
like that's Fuka times 1. Let's keep it real. That's the stock swamp.
That is the stock swamp.
That's a Rico.
And that's a Rico. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've never played against it. I have no idea what it looks like. What I do know is that
I'll say that he
had a ton of success with it, so clearly there is.
I think the funniest part about it is that he explicitly said that it felt very good when he was playing it into exactly like Bang Dream Oshinoko Overlord, and then the second he cues into something else, it all goes to hell. And this is reflected in his 2 losses of the day, being into Ruby 8 standby and Saikana in top 8.
That's wild. I guess I could see it. Like Ruby 8 standby is probably not very fun for this deck, but I can't believe how far that deck went.
The Psychono deck?
No, Ruby 8 standby.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That's another deck that looks very much like this deck, where it's like vanillas with thoughts and prayers in between. Like, I don't know. Maybe the meta is just that way right now, where you can just kind of take it at that pace. But
I mean, if you're looking at 3 cards every attack, right?
This deck that we're looking at right now is just Nino at home.
Sure.
And maybe that's enough.
With
for
more
the way
attacks and like a better defensive like cash out.
It has a worse top end and a better, but it's more defensive.
You have like a weird top end for sure, because like you don't really have a top end. You just have more vanillas sprinkled starting level 2, right?
Yeah. You're just like
if
instead
the
of
game
having
is going normal, like you're supposed to be having like 4 attack turns. Like, at minimum, like you could probably, again, you're really looking at a lot of cards at that point, because it's multi-attack and all of your characters will have the trigger check.
Yeah,
so
but what I'm saying is that like Nino had that throughout the entire of the game, not just
I mean, it has extra. Okay, well, it depends on Nino. We're talking about 12 buy.
Yeah,
that's just more standbys, but they don't.
But they also have more trigger checks.
They have more trigger. Yeah, they have more trigger checks, but like the way this deck is operating is that your extra damage output is not from resolving your finisher a little bit earlier. It's from literally just hitting for 3 more.
Right, but what I'm saying is that like if I stand by my finisher and then I use its combo to burn 3 or whatever, that's a similar amount of packets to I stand by my finisher and then vanilla you.
Yeah, sure.
Now the timing of the packets is different, so
you
get this one immediately instead of 2 of them on the following turn, which is 6 and 1/2 dozen the other, depending on game state. But yeah, there is like a high roll scenario for this where it's like I chain it into a bunch of like I get a bunch of them and I just chain them into like a bunch of multi attacks. But you have to figure that whatever turn follows that is just gonna be like full nothing for the rest of the game.
Why wouldn't you, like, why not?
Because like this deck has no deck speed and is not going to be just like frantically refreshing, and so once you've hit a bunch of these things and like put them on the board and attacked with them, then the chance of you resetting the deck and like re-landing those is not,
I mean, it's weird, right?
Not great.
It's to check 3 brainstorm, like that
Sure.
always makes the math a little weird. Like it is, yeah, obviously.
But I'm
it's not,
pulling
like,
a lot
super...
I'm triggering a bunch of climax.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. It's only, and it is still only the one climax, right? It's a combo.
Yes.
So it doesn't work on the other climax.
Correct.
Which you're probably just discarding instead of triggering it, unless you need Asia.
Probably.
Or you like want a second 2/2.
Yes.
Like,
I think that there's like, what I'm saying is that like whenever you choose to take those extra attacks,
right,
it's a mortgage.
Sure,
like you're mortgaging later damage for now, and so
it does pay out the climax to stand itself.
But that's okay. Cool. Yeah. But but what I'm talking about is like
more so, getting it off the board again.
Correct. The actual characters.
Yeah. Sure.
But it's not that big of a deal because you're like the trade is accepted because we have this card that makes your opponent lose their entire turn. So. Unless they're playing Oshinoko and they get triple changer, in which case you don't get that. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of decks that have succeeded with worse than this. So, like, having level 0 stock swap is never balanced.
That's true.
And we have Quadrico, so like if your deck if you try to compress at any point, it'll just be like, well, guess I'm coin flipping you now. And enjoy that, whatever that looks like.
All right, I'm done playing Devil's Advocate. It's probably fine.
For sure.
Yeah. I didn't actually play it, or I played against it exactly one time when we were both drunk. So we could probably do to reevaluate that on another day.
Yeah, we need to actually get Steve on the podcast to explain it to us.
Yeah, that's probably true. And I think it is kind of interesting that it is somewhat interesting that we spent this much time on like kind of these other decks like Saikano, Ruby, Fujimi, and not the literal winning deck, we'll say. But like, it's because we've been talking about Oshinoko for half a year.
Yeah, and
I think we've been signposting this for literally half a year.
Yeah, and
this is the build, by the way. The
only thing that's notable to say here is that he decided to run 4 JC, which is similar to the Japanese build. But I am unsure why you would do that. I don't know that the meta calls for that, though there are a lot of clean cuts in the meta. So maybe that, especially Overlord, is like felt very clean cut dependent. Not a lot of 0+s outside of the double bouncer. So maybe that is a read on clean cuts and trying to deny them. Or maybe you just really want to like make sure you can trigger climaxes and get climaxes in hand.
Or just really make sure that, if you miss the coin flip, then you can still recombo.
Yeah, or like adding compression in strange ways. It's fine.
Like it's a memory, JC, right?
It's fine.
So like if you resolve it a lot, then you'll get a lot of memory, and that's fine.
Not a huge fan of 1x Taiki, but other than that, this is just
it's the
bog
list.
Standard OSK list. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we can maybe ask about that too.
Yeah, so looking at the top 8, like outside of the notables, which is Fujimi and Saikano, Medallia told me during the interview that most of Europe rates Ruby very highly. So
wow,
he was not surprised that it did well. He thinks that he thinks that it is underrated in the States. So
it's definitely just not rated. So to call it underrated would just be an accurate statement. It's definitely it's very fine. It's got trigger checking. We have active standby. We have money counter. We have a finisher that is like relatively like good. Like removes defensive counterplay for the most part. You have stock swap stapled onto an icy tail. Like your kind of deck decomp is kind of like you can do it.
Yeah, I think the standard way you manage this deck is to run it in to keep the finisher from killing you as easily. But with the addition of the EB restander, you can still die.
You can definitely die
to just like burns and taking vanillas and
burn 3, burn 1, stand, swing, like no, that'll do you. And again, like there's even extra. The Salem really gives, I feel like, just that little extra like push for like in higher roll game states, you can cash out just Icy Tail, right? It's just on demand. So like then you can do whatever. You just like play over that with a Ruby, standby over whatever. Like even if you don't need the stock swap, like having just an extra packet, right?
Yeah.
It's one or the other. We'll clarify.
Yeah. You can't get both.
Yeah, not on the same play. Yeah. So it's it's very fine. How does it plus?
Putting big motherfuckers on the board and brainstorming.
The Crow is not big. It's literally a 1-for-1 reprint of the Nino combo. So you're probably hand-on coring it. The 1/1 that can't be reversed by cost zeros.
Pretty good in the meta generally, I guess, for a while.
Including this meta, because it's 1K1 soul slop all the way down.
Yeah, kind of challenging to remove it pre
2.
Are you gonna cast an early play healer to remove that?
Well, I mean, as Bang Dream, you're gonna cast that because you want to play it anyways. So
yeah,
maybe that's fine.
Yeah, and then if you're not in the center lane against Oshi, either they have to cast their healer or they have to cast the Kana 2-1.
Sure.
So, which they can, but that's a lot of free pluses in the meantime. So
yeah, maybe
that's enough. Clearly, it's enough.
Yeah.
You do get
Maybe.
yeah. I mean, you do get some other like sort of tricky mechanics, but
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I always have the same question whenever I see 8 standby piles with no combos. Is I'm just like, what keeps you from having a 4-card hand for the entire game? And the answer is nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
That's just how those decks are.
All right, well, that was Worlds.
Yeah.
There was a lot of cool stuff. There was a lot of cool people. It was a great time. It was a great vacation for me. I won't speak for you, Steve.
Yeah, no, same.
But
love Japan.
But you know, it's unfortunately a weekday, and I had to come out late from work, so it won't be a 2-hour banger episode. But we'll start the conversation now. You have some homework. That's right. How dare I do this to you? You have homework, dear viewer/listener. Beanwolf wrote a very cool blog post talking about kind of ups and downs, and maybe a little bit weighed more towards the downs, a little bit, of recent decision making by Bushiroad SEA, as we'll call it, the part that's responsible for the side of the game that this podcast is nominally more about, and like that we personally play more. Like 5-pack sealed open 5 format, good stuff. That was pretty cool. Eminence, bad, boo. Box toppers, boo, bad. Why did you do it like that? Why is the set like this? What's happening?
It's a bit of insult to injury that the Eminence Cup entry promo is like a really
is a filter.
Card.
Yeah.
It's like a drop surge and a
drop
bottom
surge,
deck
bottom deck bomb. Yep. Overlord restriction. Boom. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Why did we do it like this? And why did we still do it like this? And that leads us to our second homework. You need to both read that blog post before the next episode, and you need to watch this video by fighting game designer Keats, which will be linked in the description. He will not get that much more views from us. We get like maybe 100 views every
no idea
every
what the Spotify audience looks like, but
it's like 50.
Yeah.
So like, you know, it's not this isn't sponsored. I literally just woke up this morning, you know, I saw the video like basically right before work, and yeah, you should watch this video. And I think that the title is something like game design or game balance is not real, or game balance isn't real. And we're gonna open that topic a little bit today before we get out. Steve has not seen the video. He also has that homework to do. But we're gonna open this up a little bit, talking about the Overlord restriction. Now then, a few days after Worlds, by the way, they re-restricted Overlord by taking back away not only the maids and the brides, they also just took the Fumio. Which, sure. Some people don't rate it at all. Steve, I know, rates it as a very decent... very decent one of. and the tap counter is been added to the 3-2, and that's all in a choose one of 5, and the 1-1 is still there. You can still play one of the 1-1 with the extra booster coming out.
Obviously, Beanwolf details this in a way that I will never be able to replicate here, but the TLDR of that, and if you're really into the competitive side of the game, you absolutely should consume that content, because
you should read that blog post, and you should watch that game design video, because that's going to be very important right after Steve makes this point.
But the thing of it is that by structuring the restrict list in this manner, you've damaged any other Overlord deck that could be built in service of trying to keep this one thing that arguably should not exist around. And the consequence of that is that when the extra booster comes out here in about one more second...
It's out.
Yeah.
It's already out. Like, legitimately.
Oh, did it come out last week?
Yeah.
Okay. So...
yeah, I'm gonna go buy some signals for it.
Now with the extra booster out, the old deck is just as good as the new deck. Because the new deck is harmed by this restrict for no reason. The 8 comeback deck that probably will be built anyway out of this extra booster stuff and is a completely normal, again, we're just another 1k1 slop deck. It's fine, right? But it's worse than it could have been because it doesn't have maids. It doesn't have tab counter, and it wants those. It doesn't have Fumio.
It kind of wants Fumio. Like, you have stocks up on attack. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, there are choices that you cannot make now because this other deck, which probably should not exist anymore, is still here. And arguably, that deck is still pilotable. Like
not even that arguable. Like, I think it's just still pilotable. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? Like, if you were already going to play this deck with maids, and you did not resolve Fumio, and tap counter was already like a, call it like one in a few games, like, it's a nerf, but like really arguably still playable. Now then, I think it'll be borne out exactly how much lower it is over time, because I think in the field, knowing and not knowing whether there is a tap counter is a real mental pressure.
Yes.
That even if you as the Overlord player were like never gonna resolve it, like, depending on the skill level of the player facing you, they might only know that there's a tap counter, but not remember the cost. They might think, okay, maybe he can still tap counter me. And all those kind of little things,
well, even if
can add up.
Even if a good player is sitting across from another good player.
Yeah.
And I have Ein's some dude, you have to side. If you see the resource stack and it's available,
yeah, if you see 5
whether
stock,
I'm holding it or not is irrelevant. You have to do it because the opportunity cost is too high.
But maybe after the current restrict with like,
but now
the single 1-1, even before now with the single 1-1, maybe it's arguable that it is difficult enough to consistently have a double Eins board when it will matter.
It's possible, but the thing is that this will relieve pressure from the opponent player in many ways. True. Because now, before, you needed to, if you didn't want to side, right? We needed to sculpt another answer, right? We need a bounce. So we sculpt a bounce using resources that we could have used in other ways, perhaps for more finishing. And now we don't have to do that. We can just sculpt for more finishing. And so we can just sculpt for more damage in the late game. And we don't have to think about it, right? We're never going to side now. We're just going to front. And so a lot of games where I lived, because my opponent had to respect me, either because I was already holding it and they knew it, or the resources were available and they knew I could, and they couldn't do anything about it, and now they've got to respect it, and they have no choice, and I live because of side attacks. Those games are now just auto losses. Like, that's what that looks like under the hood. And I think that combined with the nature of what your like game states are going to look like more often than not, makes it much worse than it was before. You are now you're back to being as climax reliant as you were before the unrestricted, the maid / bride. So now you're gonna have to be even greedier you're gonna be greedy with climaxes like you were in the past, where like you're just gonna have to hold more climaxes because your chance of getting more climaxes later is fucking 0.
Yeah, you basically, there's the new Eins 3-2, but that's only 2 or less, right?
Yeah.
So that's only live on like start of deck 2.
Yeah.
So, which, to be fair, is like, instead of being literally free like the main, it's a 1 cost. And like you get the same amount of draw. And it is a 3-2, which helps in the way of like helping keep the board in like a 1k 1 soul slot meta.
Yeah, it chews into your resource stack a little bit.
I mean, it's 1 stock.
Yeah,
it goes equal hand. But yeah, 1 stock is 1 stock, right?
Stock matters a lot in that deck. It doesn't build stock very well. And even though you're gaining access to Leafa, you gotta be like, this deck can use its hand ad infinitum, so it's gonna be tricky to ever really use Leafa in that way. So we'll see. People are gonna cook. Obviously, I'm not saying it can't be played, and I'm not saying it can't win, but whatever you needed to have before, you will need to have that plus more now. And I think that's an unrealistic. It's an unrealistic ask in singles play. Period. That deck will not be good enough to win consistently in singles play. Especially,
it certainly won't be. I'll say it like this: if you're bandwagoning Overlord after the extra, you are fucking insane. You're a fucking crazy one for that, for sure. Like, if you've been grinding it the whole time, you could probably still grind it and like not feel like it's unplayable.
Yeah,
right.
So
like, you could probably, if you have been playing Overlord since this 3-2 and 1-1 entered this world on the English side, you could probably still play it.
Yeah.
And it would still probably do like just about as well as you were doing with 1-1-1 in the first place. Like, all things considered, like, you still like I've seen the idea of like just buckle down, use the Samus double drop surge as like the 3rd slot on your like 1 combo turn. Like, just make sure you have it, right?
Getting the 1-1 isn't the problem. The frequently the problem is like managing the rest of the game after that.
Yeah,
now,
but like we have we have Riki and Rico.
Yes, our zero game. The zero game's improved.
We've got the Rick cards.
Yeah, the zero game is improved. Everything else is worse.
Yeah,
and so, can it still win? Yes. Does it really have to be your day? Also, yes. But I think combined with the increase in power level that's coming in the singles meta, I do not think that you can play Overlord successfully in the singles meta that is coming. Not consistently. I think it can win. There will be many decks that can win.
For sure.
But yeah, I think it's.
I think
it's cooked. I think it's cooked.
Yeah, you think it's cooked?
Like, I'll make some builds and try it, but
yeah, you know what's really funny? It's actually after this kind of new land that we're in that I'm kind of, I am that psychopath. I'm like, you know, I'm kind of curious what this Overlord pile plays like right now. It seems cool. I'll pick up the singles. I already owned the deck before. That's kind of interesting. All right, we're gonna tail off this episode. We'll have part 2 coming up soonish, and it's off the back of this game tuning discussion.
Yeah.
So it is kind of, if somehow you already did your homework, I will say I'll rehash a few of the key concepts here. Now, Keats is a longtime game designer, fighting game designer. He was a major designer on Killer Instinct, like the kind of the latest one that's still being played today. He was a big designer on Rumbleverse, which unfortunately died to its own kind of like lack of hype / like monetization like setup, but was a very fun game. And he put out about an hour-long video, which you can definitely do that homework. You know, you listen to this, you can listen to that. He talks about game balance and kind of what it means and the goal of game tuning. He sets up the semantics where game tuning is what devs do to the game in order to achieve perhaps the goal of game balance. And there's a lot of key concepts there. In short, very short, data lies, right? Because without context, data cannot be useful. Or, you know, it is heavily influenced by the context of which the data is in. So, even with telemetry in video games, right, even that data is within itself flawed. And in, we'll say, Weiss, for example, right, there's even less data, right, where you have, even if you had all of the decks registered in all of the locals and all of the decks in the BCS, that within itself is flawed, right? There's only so many games being played.
Yes.
There's only so many top cuts that can happen.
Yes.
And players lie. There was a great example in the video where League of Legends, 2 examples even, they put out a patch note about Vlad's blood pool, and they like changed some, I think, movement speed aspect of it. Then after the patch came out, players hit the forums, they're like, this is so bad, it feels so horrible, Vlad's unplayable, I hate it. The patch did not ship the Vlad change. So player perception is often guiding that kind of their vibe of what the game balance is. There's even another example where they were proposing buffs to Rivet, like soon after release. And then after the buff supposedly came out, players were like, oh, Riven's so good now. Like, it feels so good to play. It's so good. It feels so good now. Those changes also did not ship. They were just playing the original Riven. And so players also lie. Both the data and the players lie. So while you have to listen to your players somewhat, there's a concept of balancing the fun and frustration of your core audience. So on one side of the scale is the fun, we'll say, and on the other side of the scale is the frustration. And you would like to balance the fun and the frustration of your core audience such that there is going to be some frustration because, you know, you want to, like, there are, like, if you're the one getting hit by, let's say, by the long combo, you are not the one having fun at the moment, right? If you're the one doing the long combo, you are the one having a lot of fun at the moment. And if the fun outweighs the frustration, well, then you keep on going, right? But there are many different ways that can happen, because developers ultimately want retention, where there's an idea of players want fairness, but that's not a measurable metric, and it's not actually that true, all things considered, on the average. Because, you know, like, if you have like a really flat game where everything kind of tunes to be the same, it's kind of boring, right?
Yes. Nobody desires the game to be... People say they want a balanced game, they don't. Because if a game is perfectly balanced, it is not fun. Because everything feels similar. And that's part of what we're seeing right now in the Weiss meta. Where below, like, this tier of, like, very small tier of, like, really good stuff is just a whole bunch of shit that's all kind of the same. And is relatively balanced against each other.
And then viewers will say in the concept, because he is talking about competitive, like, multiplayer online games, like video games. Viewers want variety.
Right.
But variety comes from there being multiple different ways to actually express yourself and win.
Yes.
And developers want retention. They want players to keep playing the game because that's how they keep making money.
Right.
And this is more true even in card games than it is in video games, because this has been true with card games the whole time. Video games, there was a point in time where you had the point of sale and you're done.
Yeah.
They didn't care what happened after that. Now you have servers, you have online features, you have all this shit you got to pay for.
Live service.
You have live service. You got to pay for your game. So it's important that your players keep playing the game, and this much I think is also true in trading card games like Weiss. So I think it is interesting to look at the risk reward of the Bushiroad SEA balance decision of Overlord as opposed to the Bushiroad Japan decision on Overlord. Japan decided that the frustration in all levels of play was too high, and so they cut the 1-1 in service of the fun of the rest of the players that were not playing the 1-1, and decided that for the core audience of the Weiss Schwarz playing community, that would be better. And we're continuing to see, right, because they had a chance to go back after Worlds and remove the 1-1. They did not have to remove the 2-1, remove the Bride, remove the Fumia, they didn't have to do all that. They could have removed the 1-1, killed the deck archetype, and said, we don't want this to be in the game. But they split, right? They said, no, we want the players who are playing this archetype of this deck to still be able to play this archetype. Which, you can take it or leave it. But it is an interesting balanced decision to have seen out of Bushi SEA.
Yeah. And so we'll finish that discussion in the following episode. But it is important to gain some domain knowledge about what we're talking about, because this is pertinent to understanding and getting a grip on why the changes that exist and why sets are the way that they are.
You know, it honestly also kind of informs how much of an insult it kind of feels like Eminence was to some level.
Yeah, we'll dig a little deeper into Eminence also next time, because
so watch the video, do your homework, pal.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
There is. So go watch that fucking video. That's our show for today. Tune in next time after your next deck out, and don't you forget to take the refresh point.